If you've been following new releases from premium brands in the last, let's say, 12 months, you probably will recognize some of the cues in this new watch from San Martin. And if you haven't, I will of course cover it in this review. And no, it is not Rolex. However, those are only cues. The sculpting of the case is somewhat different, the handset was redesigned, and the bracelet clasp is of course San Martin's proprietary creation. And the dial, well, this one is made out of marble. Seriously, real marble. So, did San Martin level up their original game even further with this new timepiece? Well, we've got it here. Let's find out. Hello and welcome back. Looks like San Martin is now experimenting with gemstone dials. Okay, they did it in the past and the results were quite stunning, but those were, while looking really good, were still heavily inspired homages. This set of models, on the other hand, is much more original and, in my humble opinion, it is still absolutely gorgeous. So we have a choice of Aventurine, Lapis Lazuli and marble, which I have here. I'm not a gemstone expert, however, I think all of them look pretty damn good, and because each dial was cut out of natural stone slab, we are guaranteed that each dial will be unique, which I think is pretty cool. Now, before we continue, for full disclosure, I did ask San Martin a few times to send me this watch review. Well, if they didn't, I probably would end up buying it anyway, just don't tell them I said that. And I also get to keep it. In return, as always, I'll do my best to share with you a comprehensive review of this timepiece, and of course, all the necessary links to the product listings will be in the description of this video. So let's look at dimensions first. Measuring fixed bezel, we get just over 38mm diameter. The case is slightly bigger, it is 39mm. The case height is 13.6mm. A lot of it is taken by this raised sapphire crystal. We have 46.5mm lug-to-lug distance, perfect for pretty much most wrist sizes, starting possibly from as slim as 5¾ inch and up. We have 20mm lugs, and stainless steel bracelet has a nice taper down to 16mm at the clasp. The full bracelet should comfortably cover up to 8¼ inch or about 21cm wrists in circumference, and as supplied, this watch weighs 151 grams and 140 grams after adjusting it to my about 7-inch wrist. Now, ever since Seiko released its NH34 GMT movement, we had a mini revolution happening in the field of budget GMT watches, and this is exactly the caliber that we have here: dependable and reliable Japanese automatic mechanical movement. The key feature of this movement is ability to independently adjust the GMT hand. So, as we unscrew the crown and pull it in the first position, we now can either adjust the date by turning the crown anti-clockwise, or by turning the crown in the opposite direction, we can adjust the GMT hand, and the GMT hand will advance 1 hour at a time, snapping into the correct positions as we rotate the crown. As for the case, we have here a very well-crafted, multifaceted design. The lugs are curved down and feature small chamfers on the inside and outside in the form of high-polished bevels that run along the sides of the case. The combination of crisp transitions between the brushed and high-polished surfaces makes the case appear quite angular and contemporary. And yet, there are no sharp edges to speak of. Everything is well machined and finished to high-quality standards. The fixed bezel with engraved 24-hour scale also features a combination of brushed surfaces interrupted by high-polished chamfer. The side screw-down crown is well protected by the crown guards, which also have quite interesting shape and are probably better described as being an extension of the case. Flipping the case over, and we see screw-on sterile back case with quite decent radial brushing, and that's about it. The good news here, of course, is that screw-on back case in combination with the screw-down crown allowed San Martin to declare 100 meters of water resistance on this watch, which is, of course, very practical. San Martin went with ever so slightly domed sapphire crystal here. The crystal has good anti-reflective coating and is also noticeably raised above the bezel. The air coating is quite effective, and the almost boxed shape of the sapphire crystal gives this all-angular watch head a bit of a vintagey vibe. When we view San Martin's timepieces these days, it is very hard to accuse them of taking any shortcuts, and this watch is not an exception. Like the rest of the swatch, the bracelet is well designed and executed. The integration between the case lugs and solid inverted end links is almost seamless. The finishing is very similar and the end links are shaped to comply with the curvature of the lugs. I'm also quite happy that San Martin decided to do away with the center polished links, like they had on earlier versions of the swatch. As a result, the future scratches on the bracelet, which are unfortunately almost unavoidable, will be much less prominent. And also, the bracelet has a bit more subtle, toolish look, and as such doesn't take any attention away from the centerpiece of the swatch, the dial, which we will of course be looking at next. We have high-polished sides of the bracelet links, which are very well machined and are connected by screws. The finishing and tolerances of the bracelet are also very good. And we have of course San Martin's proprietary fully milled clasp with on-the-fly adjustment. It is really good double pusher clasp with San Martin's applied logo and good finishing. A combination of brushed facets and high-polished bevels that run along the sides. The bracelet is very comfortable and the watch is well balanced on the wrist. And thanks to the on-the-fly adjustment mechanism, we almost always guaranteed to get a perfect wrist fit. Even without natural gemstone background, this watch has a striking and very well executed dial. Printed minute chaptering on the rehaut, angular faceted applied hour markers that are nicely filled with lume. We also have applied logo on the top of the dial and concise 3 lines of text above the 6 o'clock marker. The date window is well framed and has high polished finish similar to our indices and hands, which gives the dial a nice light play when light rays hit it at certain angles. And I like the splashes of red on this dial in the form of GMT wording. The tip of the second hand and the actual GMT hand is also painted in red. So, like I just mentioned, all the elements of this dial give it a very elegant and premium appearance, but then the natural gemstone background takes it to another level. In this case, the background is carved out of white marble. Because it is natural stone, the marble veins pattern is totally organic and is unique to each dial. And while preparing for this review, I caught myself a number of times taking a glimpse of this dial just to enjoy the sparkling silver on white marble look. And I'm happy to report that we have a very generous amount of lume on this dial. For a day-to-day GMT watch, the lume performance is very decent. It possibly will not outperform some of San Martin's divers, but then again, this is not a diver. Okay, so perfect watch, right? Well, is there such a thing? In general, it is a great all-rounder with outstanding dial. However, my striking white marble dial comes at a small price of legibility. Silver hands on white and grey background do tend to disappear at some viewing angles, kind of now you see me and now you don't. Personally, I don't care, I suspected it would be the case and still went for the white marble option anyway, because for me the look definitely outweighs this little inconvenience. If, however, unlike myself, you are actually a more sensible person and you use your watch to read the time and require 100% crisp legibility, then beautiful blue lapis lazuli or bedazzling sparkling Aventurine will most likely guarantee perfect legibility most of the time. And I'm also quite excited to see another positive step in San Martin's progress in their original design department. Okay, to be fair, the sharp multifaceted shape of the case and the bezel to some degree take some inspiration from very popular Grand Seiko Mistflake, and that's what I actually referred to at the start of this video. However, that's pretty much where about the homaging, so to speak, ends. And if you've got this far in the video, well, thank you very much for sticking around, and you probably want to know the price. Well, as expected, San Martin did add a premium for the gemstone dials. Nothing crazy, but we're still looking at about 340ish or more closer to $310 if you're willing to be a bit patient and wait for the next AliExpress sale. And just in case you think it is a bit on the high side, well, while preparing this review, I ran a poll, and as it looks, there is always an alternative. If you rather prefer something like this Rolex Explorer 2 homage with mineral glass instead of sapphire crystal, cheap pressed clasp without any extension, and yes, you of course will have to have an extra $100 burning hole in your pocket. What are your thoughts? Do let us know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos about San Martin or Seiko watches that I think are worth spending money on, well, do check my playlist link over here. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.